What's up there guys, this is Cobrak and welcome to a different kind of guide video. In this one, we're going to be looking at a few specific battlegrounds and how you can sometimes single-handedly propel your team towards victory as a Destruction Warlock in these BGs. We're going to be looking at Alterac Valley, Strand of the Ancients and Gilneas. In a lot of BGs these days, if you're playing an ult, you just want to win and get to your gear, so hopefully this video is going to give you some tips on how to make that extra bit of difference. And while a lot of these tips are Warlock specific, I'm sure that some of them can be put to use on other classes as well. So I hope that you enjoyed, guys, and let's get right into it. So before anything, I just want to talk about some prep. There are some things that some Warlocks just don't make use of in Battlegrounds, and if you are making use of these things, you're instantly going to have a bit of an edge. So first of all, just racing through these, we have Soul Stones. It's insane how many people forget to use these, including me, so definitely use them. It's just a mini extra life when you're defending a flag or something. We can also be sacrificing a Succubus pet to give us the Whiplash ability on some maps, like Arathi Basin at the Lumber Mill for example. Having the knockback can be a lot more valuable than having a spell lock. We will also be making use of the PvP profession, which is engineering. We'll be using the Frag Belt Tinker to land grenade stuns, and of course we'll be using the Goblin Glider to move around the maps quickly, and also to reach some fairly creative spots to place our demonic circles. And aside from all this, you can use food buffs and flasks if you like, but I wouldn't say that those are essential. Alright, so from that we're going to jump into the Lion Pit right here, and start with Alterac Valley, a battleground that has been notoriously terrible for horde players ever since pretty much the dawn of time. So how do you make a difference in this battleground completely on your own? Well, if we look at Drek here, we can see that he has 4 guards, or 4 marshals defending him, one for each tower, and each of these marshals gives Drek a massive buff to his damage and health total. However, of course, whenever a tower is destroyed, the guard or marshal that represented that tower is also destroyed or despawned. Therefore, keeping the towers defended and these guys alive is a pretty huge deal. Sometimes it isn't enough to win, but it definitely increases your odds by making it way more likely that the enemy team will wipe on your last boss, or at least take a lot longer to kill him. So we're at tower point here, and our goal is going to be to defend it by interrupting the cap for as long as we possibly can. As a Destruction Warlock, we have a ton of tools to help us do this. As you can see, we have a Soul Stone up so we can resurrect and interrupt as well, just for that little bit longer. We've also went ahead and sacrificed a Succubus pet so that we can whiplash enemy players off the tower to buy ourselves more time. We expect Soul Link and are using the Glyph of Ember Tap, and this is hopefully going to give us enough healing to survive an absurd amount of damage. And finally, we've placed a demonic circle inside the tower next to the flag so we can pull back up just in case we get knocked off by an enemy player. So the defense starts right here, and I'm just going to let this clip play through at close to normal speed. Now right away, your focus should be on just building burning embers. Going ahead and killing enemy players actually isn't a priority. It's more about landing knockbacks with Whiplash and then surviving with Ember Taps until you can Whiplash again. At this point though, I do actually go for the kill, and that's because I'm not sure if any more allies are even coming. If it's just going to be me and this paladin here, then I might as well try and kill him. As it happens though, without spell lock, it's a bit of a pain, and I do make a bit of a mess of the whole thing. Then we see more alliance players coming, so instantly we forget all about going for a kill. It's back to survival mode. We put Havoc up on the paladin here, and that's going to duplicate our casts on the warrior and build us a ton of embers to heal with. So now it's all about literally spamming ember taps, building embers, and landing Whiplash. I hold off a little bit with Whiplash at first. I usually like to knock off more than one target at a time, but in the end, I settle with just the warrior here, and it's probably just as well because we're about to be solo defending against an entire squadron of allies. We're going to keep an eye on the flag and interrupt here because that's what this is all about. As long as this tower remains active, one extra guard and a row of powerful buffs will be helping to keep Drek alive. Right here, the damage is starting to pile up and we don't have Whiplash yet, so we're going to pop our Unending Resolve just to tank up. Then as soon as Whiplash is ready, we Shadow Fury to hold these guys still and manage to knock 2 targets off the tower. Now to freeze it here for just a second, that was pretty much the ideal Whiplash, and this is our strategy in motion. It's just about trying to live until the next Whiplash becomes available while interrupting the flag. You can also see here that I dropped an Infernal summon during the Chaos, and this is extremely good because of the Demon's passive. The Infernal actually damages all nearby targets for a small amount of fire damage every second, and this small pulse of damage is going to interrupt any Ninja Cap attempts made by the Alliance as long as the Infernal is in the area. And this means I can focus more on just surviving. At this point though, the allies are raging, and my earlier misuse of my PvP trinket is going to come back to haunt me, and after healing up just a little bit, everything seems fine. I get knocked right into the thick of it, Then I set a full Fist of Justice here, and that is going to be followed up by a Stormbolt. So things get really rough really fast, and this is why landing those Whiplashes is so important, because it buys you time and gives you room to breathe. It's ready again right now, so I try and make it outside to get it off, but I just take too much damage and I can't quite line it up in time. It's quite a shame. If I'd got that off, maybe I could have recovered a little bit and interrupted for even longer. It's not over yet though. I just wait for a second before hitting my Soulstone and landing some final interrupts. I don't expect to survive here. We have lower health, no embers, no whiplash, but in the long run those final interrupts could make a big difference, and as it happens, we actually managed to delay the 5 or 6 Alliance players trying to capture this tower for over 2 minutes, completely on our own. As you can see, we do eventually go down, but we did our job, and the tower point guard in Drexhut is going to remain standing for longer, giving our Zerg more time to win as the battleground. As a last note on Eldrick Valley, you can defend the Frostwolf towers in a similar way. You can use your Goblin Glider to jump from one tower to the next using Demonic Circle to then teleport back, but doing this is far more difficult, and you usually get overwhelmed far more quickly. Next on the list of 3 we have Strand of the Ancients, and we'll be covering this one in 2 mini sections, one for when you are defending first and one for when you are attacking first. So let's cover Strand when your team is defending first. There's actually a few key things that you can be doing to really beef up your team's chances of winning this one. So first off, you can see that I just summoned the Succubus Pet to sacrifice, and that's because the Whiplash ability can be pretty strong in the opener of this BG. Before the Alliance ships arrive, we're going to run to the end of the pier, then we're going to climb on the post to the far corner. Usually best to put down a portal beforehand, just in case you embarrassingly fall off. And what we're going to do here is jump onto the Alliance ship as soon as we can, and once on board, we're going to go for a big Shadow Fury, then we're going to try and Whiplash an enemy player back off the boat and into the water. You can see that poor unfortunate Panda just took it right there, and this is a good way to start the round, because the Shadow Fury Stone sort of disrupts the enemy team's opener, and by Whiplashing one or more enemy players off into the water, you're pretty much putting them out of the game for the first 10 seconds or so. Another thing that you should be doing while defending is damaging unmanned enemy demolishers down to around 10 or 15% health without killing them. You see so many people just killing off the tanks, which is pointless because they just respawn with full health in no time at all, and this means that you wasted your time by killing it. And you just did literally nothing to help your team win the battleground at all. On the other hand, by leaving the demolishers on lower health, you can just kill them off really quickly. Instead, when an enemy player hops in, it basically makes them useless for the enemy team, which means that your walls will stand for a lot longer, and you're just a lot more likely to win the round that way. Now for a real midi-clutch player that every Warlock needs to be doing more often in this battleground, when you are defending first, you should travel to either blue or the green gate just as the round is coming to an end. And once you get there, lay Demonic Circle just on the inside of the gate and make sure it stays there until the round ends. Now when the round ends and it's your team's turn to attack, you will see on the board that your Demonic Circle has actually persisted through the swapping of sides. This means that when you're attacking, you can just run right up to the gate that you placed it behind, get in range of the circle, and just portal right through. This might seem insanely broken, but you can't capture the graveyards until one of the gates is brought down. But even still, doing this pretty much ensures an absurdly fast capture time on a graveyard, and this means that your team is almost instantly going to get their hands on an extra demolisher to push with, boosting your odds of steamrolling your opponents. So what can you do when attacking first on Strand of the Ancients? Not a whole lot. You mainly want to be defending your demolishers and capturing enemy graveyards as quickly as you can. But there is one trick that you can do. It can be pretty ineffective sometimes, but it can definitely be a bit of fun. So when your attacking round is coming to an end, you can run back to the beach where you started, and this time you want to place your Demonic Circle on one of the Horde ships at the end of the pier. Just the same as before, when the round ends, you will see that your portal still somehow exists, even though the Horde ships aren't there anymore. Before the enemy team arrives, run down to the very empty looking pier until you see your portal button light up, and once it's done that, you can just portal right onto the invisible ship, forcing it back into existence, but only to you. To every other player in the battleground, including enemy players, you will be just as invisible as the ship until you disembark. Now again, this one sometimes doesn't really help you out that much, and I have been DC'd a couple of times from doing it, but it can actually sometimes give you an edge, and like I said, it is a lot of fun to do. And that just about wraps up Strand. Now for the battle for Gilneas. This one is a bit less flashy, but probably the most effective of the lot so far. In the opening here, we're at the waterworks. Capturing this node is extremely important because it is so close to our default base, which is the mines. So we get that done. Then on our way back, we're going to put down a demonic gateway crossing the river, and this gives us extremely fast access to the waterworks node. On the way back to the mines, we make sure to do this little ledge jump here just to save some time, and now we're going to defend the mines, which quite annoyingly got ninja capped. But that's fine, we get the mines back, so now we're in control of the waterworks and the mines, and this is all we need to win this BG. Honestly, most of the time, it's already over at this point. What we're going to do here is put down a demonic circle towards the waterworks, around 30 yards away from the mines flag. Now, all we're going to have to do is get to the middle of the two bases, and now that we're there, you can see that we have the quick access gateway crossing the river at the waterworks, and we have our demonic circle in the perfect spot to reach the mines. And just by sitting in between both of the nodes like this, we are pretty much making ourselves the literal gods of ninja cap interruption. I think it would actually take one of our flag defenders to be AFK or something for us to be ninja capped like this. We can move to assist in a team fight at either of the bases at any time, and it's all because of good portal placements and a non-greedy, patient playstyle. Now, if that's not quite spicy enough for you, there is a portal spot that we can reach at the waterworks using the Goblin Glider to traverse the otherwise impassable terrain, but I haven't experimented with this one that much. It seems like it could be really good in some cases though, depending on how melee heavy the enemy team is, and of course if you're going to leave your demonic circle in that spot up there, you should then be placing your gateway towards the mines in its place. And it's as simple as that. As long as your team is good enough to capture waterworks while holding on to mines, you can win the vast majority of Gilneas battles by just doing this, and I'd imagine that you can do something similar as the Alliance side too. That might not be quite as effective just because the distance between waterworks and the Alliance lighthouse is a little bit greater, the amount of the distance separating the waterworks and the mines. But there you have it guys, a bunch of easy tips on 3 battlegrounds that you can put into action completely on your own to help your team win the game. Obviously Alliance players don't need any extra tips on how to win Alterac Valley, but that's a whole other topic. I want to thank everybody for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it and learned a thing or two, and I'm going to catch all of you guys just a tad bit later.